A little tip when working on stick control is to make sure that you are not emphasizing any notes over the others. So like if you're playing this pattern, you don't want it to sound like that. You want nice and even. So the way that I think about it is actually like playing with less power behind it. So as opposed to like, oh, I need to get that left hand up more. No, just lower the right hand a little bit. So chill out with the right. As opposed to like really overemphasizing every one of the notes. And honestly, it sounds better and allows you to play faster. This morning, I don't have a lot of time. So what I'm gonna do is actually show you what I do when I practice throughout the day. So one of the things that I do is an approach called Pomodoro method. So the Pomodoro method is where you take like a certain amount of time to work and then you take a little bit of a break. And you do that over the course of however long you're working. So for myself, when I am working during the normal workday, I will do 50 minutes, 50, of intense work where I will be very focused, and then I will take a 10-minute break. Now, one of the things that I will frequently do in that 10-minute break is actually practice the drums. And so that's how I can get in the hours throughout the week, is by taking a break throughout the day to just like work on something. Now, you might be thinking, okay, 10 minutes to practice the drums, that's not really a lot of time to sit there and work on something. Yeah, that's true, but if you do that throughout the day, multiple times, then it really will add up. So it's a very intense 10 minutes of focus work. And then back to my actual work. Let's do cheese chutichuhs, which sounds like something you would not want to order at a restaurant. Yeah, waiter, I'll have the cheese chutichuh. Ugh. If I ever open a restaurant, I'm gonna name them after rudiments. All the items will be a rudiment. One of the things that you could do if you are unable to practice because like you might have an injury or you're just not feeling well or whatever, is you can actually do it mentally. I got an injury. I could not practice for over a month. And so that's no good when you're on a performance scholarship for percussion. You need to be able to continue to improve. So yes, I was able to work on my right hand, but my left, I had to just not move it at all. So what I was doing, however, was practicing mentally. So I would go through stuff and just kind of picture myself playing through it. So I recommend taking a look at visualization stuff, like from sports psychology. It's also something I used to do when I was in class. So like in high school in particular, I would be bored in a particular subject, so I just mentally practice through things. And that's how I was able to practice without having to have sticks in my hand. And so my teachers thought I was paying attention, but in reality, I was actually just drumming in my head nonstop. So when I was working on concert snare, I had a professor who had me do buzz rolls as 3 strokes. So everything I did were all 3 strokes. And so the way that I worked on it was doing this thing. So instead of doing a rudiment like a Flam 5, where you're rhythmically, like with the diddles, is going to sound like, you can put 3 strokes on it and make Flam 7s. And then just add in the grace note, differentiate between the accents and the taps, and you can get. So what I'm going to do for funsies, I'm going to do like a normal shopping spree, but I'm going to 3-stroke everything. If you're ever bored and you want to just try something with your friends, try cleaning up those Flam 7s. They're fun. Not a great attack. A little flammy. That was a much better interpretation. Slightly late, I think, on that first note. A little slow on the first diddle. But better. So I'm noticing improvement, which is good. That's the point of this. I'm not just playing for the sake of playing. A little late on the attack. A little late on the diddle. Early. Better. Not better on that last diddle. So this one, the cheese actually moves around, so it's not just fixed on a specific partial, so it's being placed right before an accent, which is a fun little challenge. There's a bit of a paradox when practicing in that in order to play faster, you need to actually play better, slower. So if I get to a breaking point where I'm just like, I can't do this, I'll slow it down. Sometimes it's only 10 clicks. Sometimes I'll go all the way down into like 30 or 40 BPM and work on something and gradually build it up. When I'm practicing it slow, I'm specifically focusing on what is the technique I want to strive for when playing fast. So like on these diddles, when I'm doing them, the upstroke with a diddle in between. If I was practicing this at 40, and I didn't have that upstroke stay up, if I was trying to force it in, it just wouldn't sound good, it wouldn't feel good, it's gonna slow you down in the long run. So focus on practicing slow with the technique you'll use when you are playing fast. Tip of the day. My arm started to slow down, and I noticed my pad was just slowly creeping towards the edge, which when it does this, depending on how I play it, it can fall and hit my toes. Which oddly enough is a topic of conversation on TikTok. I posted a video and I was like explaining something, and then people were just talking about this overhead cam and how it showed my toes. So I guess if that's your takeaway, that's cool. I'm glad I could be of service to you. My accents were a little bit more emphasized or pronounced than I'd like, so I'm gonna focus on relaxing those while keeping consistent taps. There we go. Those accents are better, but the taps are worse. They're a little flammy. Now, I highly recommend, if you actually are working on double stops, to practice this in front of a mirror. That way you can see if your hands are doing similar things or not. Whoops. Talking's messed me up. I have Streamlabs open, so I'm able to see it, sort of. It's a little small, but that's kind of acting as my mirror. I do have in this practice room a mirror over there above the marimba. Now, if you're curious about where that play along is found, it's on my website, jaredaleary.com/strum.